overview of how we do things now in a biological sense, it's probably a three-pronged approach, starting with the ecology of a whole farm, not just products or practices in isolation, because they all intermingle.
I think one of the things that we've really focused on was the humus composting. It's the foundation to building your soil structure and getting the biological diversity in your soils. And we do it about every 6 or 7 years on a paddock. So we're seeing results in the first 6 to 12 months. We have found a reduction within the first season of the insects and disease pressure, like I'm talking years ago here. And it has to relate back to how we improve the fertility of the soil. This is ready to apply at about 1/2 tonne to the hectare. There is no sign of feedstocks or what was in it. It's all now humus, and it smells sweet, ambient temperature, and it's ready to go. That's a 10-week compost to make this compost. So by improving soil structure, you're going to get more water, more infiltration of nutrients, roots into the soil. It's adding biological, microbial component to the soil, and adding that carbon to the soil then builds soil carbon levels. And we know that that's the gold in the soil, that's the energy in the soil.
The application is basically just being spread on top of the ground at low rates. This is so important. The quality is everything in composting. We only spread it 1/2 tonne to 1 tonne to the hectares. So the beginning of a cropping phase, you'd put on a compost mineral blend tailored to your soil test, and then you're right for the system of 5 years or 6 years. With our sowing equipment, we have a liquid injection system on there so that we extract compost to make it into a liquid, and then we inject that down the sowing tube, alongside the sowing tube, so that the seed's getting inoculated with microbial inoculums plus minerals, all at the one time as we're planting. So we've got our humus compost, and we are going to put it through this extractor and leave the solids and take all the microbes and the humus polymer and the enzymes into a liquid, so that we can use this for foliar fertilising and liquid injection at sowing time. As the crop emerges and it gets to a tillering stage, we then apply a foliar fertiliser. And we've got another machine called a tow and fert, so it mixes a little bit of nitrogen, but a lot of minerals and a lot of microbials in there as well. So we're putting that resilience in that system all the time. People talk about the BRIX levels, which is your sugars in your plants. The better the sugars, the less impact from insects and disease. So whether it's a crop or a pasture, it's the same.
These plants, as we know, would be under stress. They are water stressed, but we can see that there's no insects or no disease attacking these plants. Calcium and phosphorus are the BRIX builders with the biology as well, and it's getting that mineral density and the plant structure. And so you don't get lodging and falling over, because your watery, nitrate-filled plant is going to have a very low BRIX. They're very susceptible to insects and fungal diseases.
Looking at how our crop and pasture rotation works, we have animals on our farms coming from a long pasture phase. That phase of a different species, like a canola, which is a brassica, or a legume such as a lupin or a pea, breaks the cycle of disease, which is hugely important. After that would be either a cash crop like a wheat, triticale, or an oat. We also, in those phases, we'll introduce a multi-species crop. And it's been quite amazing to see an immense drop-off in weed problems, especially ryegrass. And then the ensuing crops after that seem to have more vigour, and it's definitely linked to the plant diversity that's been in that multi-species. In one paddock is you've got the dynamic root system of the heavy big grass species such as millet or sorghum, plus the totally different root zone of a fodder rape or fodder canola, and then you've got the massive tubers of the tillage radish. So the whole soil system's interacting between itself, and the microbial change from one to one is just giving that total dynamic of the soil system. This paddock here, back in the 60s, it was really depleted soil. And here we are, it's probably the best example you'll find of a mini soil pit showing the depth of top end humus layer that we've built over time in this soil. And looking at the rest of the soil, a heavy clay underneath, and you can build that topsoil. Understand your patch, what you are standing on and working with, because all soils are different. Then you can remedy by doing the dynamics of structural things like compost. Understand then your biological inputs after that that'll make your plants work well. The third thing is the overall balance of the ecology of the whole farm. So we've planted over 50,000 trees in the last 20 years. That brings in a whole lot of fauna, but a whole lot of biological diversity, birds, insects, all sorts of things interacting together.
Like last year, a few years ago, we had a few aphids, but we saw we had lady beetles. So we kept monitoring, and the lady beetles ate them. So the tree plantings we've done on Milgadara definitely have increased the number of beneficial species, and it's given them a home in the paddocks, as well as shelter belts for animals.
Totally changed the farm. Really starting to show now after those trees are 20 odd years old.